When historians write about the Trump period of Democratic Party politics, somebody has to come up with a designation like the years of living irrationally, the era of bad decisions, the Star Chamber period, the years of the clowns, or simply the stupid time. All of those titles would characterize how Democrats tried over and over to steal the office extra-electorally from a sitting president, but failed each time. One brief footnote in this period will be the Patrick Byrne Affair, a story of passion, honor, and the perils of international dating set against one man's duty to country that changed upon his realization of secret deep state operations. This time it's a spy story alleging another set of Democratic bad acts. Public knowledge of the Patrick Byrne Affair emerged quick and then disappeared just as quickly this summer of 2019. But this one is a little different in that we don't have the usual wild-haired hysterical claims without evidence, all concocted politically to drive the opposition from office. No, this deep state adventure has a cast of characters that could populate a spy movie, the kind you never see on Netflix. Its lead is a real-life libertarian CEO of Overstock.com, Patrick Byrne. He's playing against an attractive Russian sparrow, or what deeply field-experienced intelligence people used to call a honeypot. The betrayal element in this epic, if true, again comes from a trusted federal agency gone rogue. Byrne claims powerful state players set out to blackmail politicians by manipulating him and even the little Russian sparrow. Let's assume we believe Byrne to say the Fed set him up to get the Russian agent into political circles. What would that accomplish? But wait, what do we all know now? First, we know by way of Democratic organizations the debilitated doyen herself, Hillary Clinton, sponsored the smutty Steele dossier lies. It had Trump doing unmentionable things with Russian prostitutes in a Moscow hotel room. What a great story for Trump haters. The slanderous opposition report, overseen by Fusion GPS, who paid an ex-MI6 officer at the behest of the Dems to make up this bilge, did have people fooled for a while. So at around the time Byrne was freelancing for the FBI with our Russian sparrow, Maria Butina, the Democratic Party Department of Smear Technology was working overtime with the government. Democratic representatives such as Steve Cohen got away with spewing ever more unfounded, divisive, and hateful speech about Trump and, by inference, Trump voters. Proof their bills machine was working was they got judges to sign off on FISA warrants that were complete works of fiction. But along comes a real Russian spy, and the temptation to infect opposing political organizations and players with a foreign intelligence operation was apparently too much to resist. All that was needed to do that was getting Butina pictured in a handshake, a meeting, a dinner, and the Obama DOJ would assert Russian contamination. Remember, the Democrats had already manipulated phony FISA warrants from workable judges for less. This at least would be real. So, folks, this is my little theory. Upon Russian infiltration into the Trump campaign, the FISA sign-offs would roll in. Then Trump people would be portrayed as Russian collaborators by appliant media, and the Democrats would win virtually by default. As it turned out, it did not happen that way because the Steele dossier unraveled. Therefore, some Democrat quote-unquote strategists had to be thinking, we need something else to replace the faulty Steele dossier with a story that shows a real Russian spy inside the Trump campaign. Voila, Maria Butina and Patrick Byrne, an affair that had to happen. So the story starts with Byrne's appearance on the Fox networks to shout out he had been played by a 3-member high-level group within the Obama administration. And my question is, and continues to be, was Patrick Byrne set up so the deep state could process more phony FISA warrants to unseat Trump? Byrne's story was seriously incomplete. That story, as I understand it, was about how the FBI got him to place a Russian agent in domestic political circles. If true, that alone should end up shattering the deep state. One question to get at the truth is from what we now know about the corruption of the Obama administration with candidate spying and phony FISA warrants. I simply ask here, Was Patrick Byrne set up by the FBI so the deep state could process more phony FISA warrants? It looks that way to me, though fired FBI Director Comey immediately came out to say, quote, "The FBI doesn't work that way," unquote. Regardless, based on his remarks to media, the coming bad weather for the Democrats will include a deluge of investigations, if those investigations have not begun already. But before I say why I think that is, let me say check out our merch at the end of this piece. We'd appreciate it. The Patrick Byrne story may point to a deep state run amok. Byrne, a wannabe spy for sure, may have inadvertently opened a secret door on just how broad and deep the deep state really is. You may have caught him on 2 Fox News platforms to say he was manipulated into helping the FBI spy on not one, but both Trump and Clinton, as well as a few other top-tier Republicans. At first, I was suspicious of this guy. He appeared to be a grandstander. His story, with his Robert Redford-style presentation, could be a Hollywood movie. He said he was not a Trump supporter, but was great friends with Warren Buffett, who was an avid Hillary supporter. Still, he nevertheless had creds with libertarians. It was a libertarian conference where he first met the next character in this movie, Maria Butina, an attractive Russian agent, according to the FBI. As an agent, her cover was a gun enthusiast and rights advocate, to the point of fetishizing the objects of her concern. Her indictment alleged she had been missioned as an unregistered foreign agent to infiltrate a national nonprofit organization to influence the 2016 election. That nonprofit seems to be the National Rifle Association. Butina arranged for the NRA president to speak at a meeting of the Russian gun rights organization, the Right to Bear Arms, with which she was affiliated. It was also alleged she was associating with politicians to influence outcomes good for the Russian Federation. Now, as I mentioned, the Fox News and Fox Business networks covered him in late August. Byrne said he learned from a meeting with government people that Hillary Clinton had been targeted for blackmail. Blackmail? Of course, this raises a raft of questions. Who was doing the blackmailing? Now, consider this. Blackmailing is not foreign to government, especially when wielded by Chicago identity politicians.
Here's what everybody needs to remember. From the first moment it was revealed that Comey privately briefed Trump at the Trump Tower and told him about the dossier, but only about the salacious details. Right. It was clear that, in fact, Comey was blackmailing the President of the United States. And what's interesting is that nobody stopped Comey, including James Baker. And remember, that briefing of President-elect Trump occurred on January 6th. And the day before, on January 5th, there was a meeting in the White House with President Obama, Vice President Biden, James Comey, Sally Yates, Susan Rice. And what were they discussing? The counterintelligence investigation against the incoming president of the United States. Barack Obama knew that James Comey was going to blackmail the incoming president of the United States.
No surprise there.
Patrick Byrne has accused the Obama administration of mounting a third world type operation against a candidate and a president. Now, before you say this all sounds like the favorite dog whistle of the left, conspiracy, consider for a moment what the left has always pointed out. Our CIA has overthrown democratically elected or otherwise instituted governments. In the cultures of those agencies, such underhanded tactics were perfectly acceptable, or at least justified. So why would it not be a leap to assume blackmail or related plans were hatched within certain groups of such agencies? After all, we now know the deep state believed it had a stake in preventing Trump from getting into office and getting him out after he was elected. By the way, the Democratic Party has good reason to get you to believe the deep state does not exist. What has all this got to do with the Patrick Byrne affair? The usual hidden state composed of an entrenched bureaucracy, established politicians, and rich influencers, will do anything to protect their long-standing power against an elected official, in this case Donald Trump, a populist president. The story of Patrick Byrne looks like another fumbling attempt to get Trump out of office. The Byrne adventure is but another farcical deep state attempt to steal the 2016 election. And Byrne himself spilt the beans after the post-Mueller Democratic attempt at impeachment had already fizzled. As usual, all of these ill-conceived plots backfire. The latest, the Ukraine whistleblower, a product of groupthink if there ever was one, purports to raise possible mistakes in a phone call to another head of state to the level of high crimes and misdemeanors. This will be the last chance the foaming Democrats, deep state allies all, will have helped to deliver Trump's likely re-election in 2020. People will see through their crazy back-to-back impeachment tryouts with the usual attached propaganda. Now, back to the deep state. Who do we have to thank for a permanent government working class who sabotaged the policies of an elected president? 2,000 years ago, China started it all with the Imperial Civil Service Examination, a 24 to 72 hour written test in a small locked room, into which examinees brought their own toilet, food, and blankets, much like law school exams today. They would sit and write essays about the classics from which the examinees' education, loyalty, and moral character were judged. Once selected to serve the emperor and his state, the successful examinee entered a life of relative security and comfort. When compared to the unpredictable trials of the rest of the population, new state employees quickly learned where their bread was buttered and who spread it on. Not much different today with our entrenched deep state. That's why Trump still has not drained the swamp, which is generally considered to be the bloated, wasteful bureaucracy that has driven real estate prices to among the highest in the world in Washington, D.C. And it's why federal employees overwhelmingly donated to Hillary Clinton in 2016. Now let's cut back to Patrick Byrne.
They called me in 2015, 2016 to assist in something, and I didn't know who the orders came from, but I assisted. It's some very honorable federal agents and very honorable people, but they named some names.
Then he says he does know who these three top officials are that ordered the operation.
They didn't name the names, that's it. I didn't know who it came from.
But this gets confusing. He goes on to say there are whistleblowers who may have already whistled on Larry, Curly, and Moe. Does he mean other federal officials were conspiring against electoral candidates? We don't know. This whistleblower has already disappeared.
But there are other whistleblowers from within the federal bureaucracy with similar stories.
Despite the fact there is evidence of Obama conspiracy against Trump, he goes out of his way to say this particular operation aimed to set up, besides Trump, Clinton and second-tier Republican candidates. Why would a Democratic administration want to target Clinton?
The bottom line is, the big cover-up, there was political espionage conducted against Hillary Clinton, Mark Rubio, Cruz, and Donald Trump. And this isn't a theory of mine. This is some political position. I was in the room when it happened. I was part of it.
For now, just as he said he wanted to do, Patrick Byrne has disappeared. Was this all a hoax? Or a multi-level deep state cabal against the president once again? Now, thanks for watching. You can contact me at the email coming up. Please remember our merchandise, especially myartmagnets.com, that also includes vintage nursing art magnets and dozens of other original designs with a wide range of themes you can customize any way you like. myartmagnets.com. Other things we do under my umbrella are digital advertising and market pop-up events for businesses and organizations. And if you like my short video essays, you can like and subscribe and, of course, always support by ordering products and services. Also, you can send me your own short video if you would like to submit a supportive or counter opinion. Please email me direct for more information.